Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Manino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hey guys, I'm Nariman Hamden, and this is Driven Unscripted Success podcast. Got another great guest on today. Today we have Joe Holmes. And Joe has been in the real estate business for over 20 years. He is for actually 50 years, he's a veteran flipper and also is a real estate broker and has 350 agents that work under him. Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Good, and thank you for being so kind and saying that I only had 20 years of experience.
I said 20, and then I was like, wait a minute. He's 50. He's a 50-year veteron, so I did add that in.
It's 50.
I was trying not to age you, Joe.
I know. That's why I'm saying thank you.
You're welcome. Actually, not 50, 20 years. I take that back, guys. He's so young. So where are you zooming in from?
Orange County, California, specifically in Laguna Hills.
Oh, nice. Yeah, how did you make it out okay with the fires and all, or that affect you at all?
That was north of me in LA.
Okay.
And kind of the beach communities there, Palisades, stuff like that. That's about an hour from where I'm at.
Sure. Okay. Well, why don't you tell us, can you tell us a little bit about what you do and what your business is?
So I've been a real estate flipper for over 50 years. My dad taught me the business literally from the ground up. We flipped lots of homes together, and we were the ones that were actually in there doing the flips ourselves. Hammer and nails type outfit. Grew that over the years, and now mostly I teach others how to flip properties. And I have several people that I'm teaching right now. The longest ones I've had is my daughter and her son-in-law. I've been teaching them for about the last 10 years. They're pretty much on autopilot. My son-in-law has 22 flips that he's doing right now all at once.
Wow.
Yeah. So
wow, that's impressive.
It's a lot of properties. I do property management, and like you said, I also run a brokerage. And the brokerage I started about 4 years ago, which is called Pelago. And Pelago is a discount brokerage, very nice to the agents in that we don't charge them, a huge commission on our end. It's a very small amount, $850 per transaction. So it's very attractive. Yeah, $850. So it's very attractive to agents, especially the experienced ones that know how to do this. But we take on all types of agents, residential, commercial, people that sell businesses, whatever type of agent that is that's interested in doing that. So anyway, this brokerage came to me about 4 years ago, and they were looking for a broker to open up their California office. And I just happened to be on a Zoom call of all things.
Great.
And, the guy, I got done with the Zoom call, it was just an informative thing. And the guy reached back out and said, "Are you interested?" And I said, "Yeah, I really like the website, the way it's set up. It is very investor friendly, and that's what I like about it." So I started out with 35 agents, and I'm up to 350 agents now.
That's wonderful. Just in a matter of 4 years. Well done.
Yeah.
That's great. And I like that you just have a flat fee structure, per closing rather than taking a percentage of the commission. So that's got to be, the agents must love that. And hence you having 350 agents. So it's working well, which is fantastic. So how do you deal with taking risks? Is there a time when you rolled the dice and it really worked out for you? Probably this one.
That's my whole job, is taking risks and stuff. And it starts out in your 20s, and especially when I was training my daughter and my son-in-law, it's like, we'd find a property and I go, I worked the numbers out and had them work the numbers, and at the end of the day, we're making 20 grand on a flip. And I said, that's not enough for me. I can't do this. And they go, that's enough for us. It's like they're in their 20s. And it's like, yeah, 20
Sure.
grand is like fantastic. Um, but yeah, I kind of got them over that hurdle and showed them that if you're not making at least 10% of what we call the after repair value, which is, what you're going to sell it for, and our properties here in Orange County are selling for 1 million, 1.1. So we're hoping to make at least 100,000 on each flip. And if you're not making that, then you're moving on to the next project. So I
Sure.
do look at a lot of projects every day. I get a lot of them sent to me. And if they don't work into those numbers, I'm not, I'm a risk taker, but at my age, it's like I know how to manage that type of risk. And I don't want to go into something I'm going to spend, let's say, $1 million and then another couple 100,000 on a rehab and only make 20,000. That just doesn't make sense.
No, not at all. Not at all. What's a skill or habit you think doesn't get enough credit for contributing to your success?
Um, I'd have to say education. There's a lot of TV shows out there, flipping and stuff like that.
Sure.
That's not real. That's, not reality. Um,
Sure.
it is all about educating yourself and finding that, mentor if you can, reading some books on the flipping business and putting together a business. And it's not something that, you just like jump into both feet and then hope that you end up, successful at the end of the day. So that's what I would say.
Sure. Sure. Which makes sense. I mean, and I mean, I'm in real estate as well, and there's a lot of factors that you have to take into your criteria before taking on, a property. You have to vet a lot of different things out, the population, what the market's going for there. So yeah, there's a lot of education research you have to do before just saying, yeah, I could do that. That works. And then next thing you know, you're upside down in it. So totally understand that. Nobody wants to be there, as you know.
Are you a
Um,
broker or an agent?
I'm an agent. I'm an agent. I work with Remax Hallmark here, and then I'm also a real estate investor. So I invest in multi-units.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, yeah. So I get it. Um, so, as you know, with being a flipper and, staying on top, it's tough to stay on top in this field. What's something exciting that you see on the horizon in your industry, and how are you getting ready for it? Well, especially with the market out there.
yeah. I try to take advantage of whatever market we're in, whether, people say it's good or bad. There's always a play in whatever market. Right now, since interest rates are so high, I've been concentrating on FHA and VA assumable
Okay,
mortgages.
sure.
And so I search for the VAs and FHA assumables, and I try to put my clients into those type of properties.
Sure, sure. That makes sense. So leading a team has its challenges. What's your leadership style, and can you give us an example of how it helped you through a tough spot?
Um, I'm pretty easygoing.
You seem
Um,
like it.
it doesn't, I mean, it takes a lot to, throw me over the edge. And at my age, it's just like, that really very rarely happens. I take on challenges as they come, and I have, lots of agents that call me and say, Joe, I think I'm going to get sued or whatever. And I go, well, we can't predict what somebody's going to do, and anybody can sue anybody for anything.
Sure.
If you've done everything correctly, I want you to document everything you've done and then just wait. They may sue, they may find out that they, speak with an attorney, and the attorney says, yeah, I can take on this lawsuit, but it'll cost you $10,000 as a retainer just to begin with. And, they don't have the money. So the suit kind of goes away. So I just tell all my agents to, to be calm, to be respectful, to do things in an honest way. And then whatever comes down the pike, then we deal with that at that point in time.
Sure, and that's great advice because, it's out of, more or less, it's out of, it's out of their hands. So it's
Yeah.
stay calm and see what how the other side plays out and act accordingly. So that's great advice that you've given them. How do you encourage your team to think outside the box and bring new ideas to the table?
So that's really kind of the whole premise of our company, Pelago.
Mhm.
Pelago is for investors, and the website is totally committed to the investors. You literally put an address into the website, and it'll walk you through all the numbers, whether this, property is going to be a good deal at the end of the day. It'll give you the after repair values. You have to obviously go look at the property and determine how much of a rehab it's going to cost. But it goes through all the closing costs and everything. It's just literally a one-stop shop for an investor, especially who's going to flip property. This is just an easy way to, again, I probably get about 7 to 10 leads a day from wholesalers, other agents,
Sure.
and that's what I do. I just put it onto the website, and if it meets that criteria, and my criteria where I'm going to make at least 10%, then I go to the next step and reach out, go look at the property and evaluate how much the rehab's going to be and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah. So, what does a day in your life look like? And how do you juggle work and everything else? I mean, you have 350 agents, you're also teaching how to flip. So how do you manage all that?
Again, I'm like pretty easygoing, and I have a calendar, just like you sent me your calendar. I have a calendar as well, and the agents know if they need to get a hold of me, they either, call me, text me. We can jump on a Zoom call. If they want to schedule something like a Zoom call, then they just jump on my calendar and schedule it. So I may wake up in the morning with nothing on my calendar, which is very rare. Like this morning, I was up at 8 o'clock and I'm already getting phone calls from agents. Joe, what about this? What should I do here? Get emails all the time, hey, can you review this offer? So that's pretty much what my day and, my week and my month look like. I schedule training with people who want to learn how to flip properties during the week and on the weekends as well. I tell all my agents I'm kind of a workaholic, so I'm available 9 in the morning, although I was talking at 8. I'm available 9 in the morning till literally 9 at night, and I'll answer my phone. After that, then I won't answer the phone. But um, again, it's there. I'm available. Schedule something, call, whatever.
That's great. With managing finances is crucial both in business and in personal life. How do you approach financial planning to ensure stability and growth in both areas?
That's one thing that I learned very early on. My dad, was purchasing properties. Back then, he was using loans, but most of the time it was, cash or sweat equity or something. And then, again, 50 years ago, you have to imagine the properties we were buying were, 20,000 and thirty
Right.
thousand. So it wasn't the end of the world back then, if you look at it from now. But back then, that was a lot of money. Um,
Sure.
so yes, financing is very important. And then the other thing that you need to learn is the tax game as well. You have to learn how to keep your money that you make. And if you sell a property and it's an investment property, you don't want to pay taxes, and you have to do a 1031 exchange.
Sure.
Flipping business, unfortunately, is not like that. You buy, you sell, you make a profit, and you have to pay taxes on that profit. But that doesn't mean that you don't write off a car, you don't write off other expenses, medical. I mean, there's a lot of expenses you can write off on that profit that you make at the end of the year. So it's very important I mean, finances, tax game, they're both very important to building wealth and being involved with real estate.
Sure. So what's So if you had any advice for anyone that wants to follow in your footsteps, what advice would you give that person?
If I went back and talked to my 20-year-old self, I would
Sure.
tell myself to be way more aggressive than I was. I am very, very, very still to this day, very conservative.
Mhm.
Um, and so I'm that type of guy. I mean, I'm not an engineer, I'm a real estate agent, but engineers like to look at everything, evaluate it, you know, three ways to Sunday.
Sure.
And then they lose deals doing that. It just takes too long. So I would say anybody in their 20s looking to do something, whatever it is, educate yourself and be as aggressive as possible, because you'll go a long way quicker than I did.
Sure. That's great advice. Um, so how do you balance personal growth with professional demands throughout your career?
Understanding wife, I guess.
That's the best answer.
Yeah, understanding wife.
Yeah.
I do take vacations. Pretty much they're local. I mean, I over the years I've gone, to Europe and stuff like that. I like cruising. But again, over the years, it's been a lot more difficult to keep up with what's going on in back home. Thank God I have three children. They're all pretty much involved with real estate, and when I'm gone, they kind of take over the business, so to speak. And my son-in-law does the same thing with the brokerage. If I'm gone, then he'll take over the calls. But nowadays, I can take my phone pretty much anywhere in the
Sure.
world, and I can talk from anywhere and still have access to emails and stuff like that. So, yes, I'm gone someplace, but I still have the same access to whomever wants to call me. I mean, if I'm in a foreign country, it may be midnight there, and then back here it's like 7 in the morning. So I'm talking weird hours, but I go through all that stuff and I deal with it. So yeah, I hopefully I balance both accordingly. And I've been married for, I think we're coming on 47 years here. So hopefully I've been doing something right.
Yeah, yeah, you must be doing something right because here you are. She hasn't complained, so you've got it balanced pretty well. Nice
Yeah.
job. And what a blessing to have a marriage that long. That's not typical these days. So you're doing
Uh,
something right, Joe.
I guess. Yeah. Just say yes to whatever she says.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's great. Um, so has there been a podcast, a book, or someone that's really changed your outlook or approach?
Early on, I read a book called Money Dynamics by Vanita Van Caspel, I believe it was. And this was just like we're going to give you a little bit of this, this, and this. Well, the little bit was, if you're interested in real estate, here's, a couple of chapters on real estate. Here's a couple of chapters on insurance. Here's a couple of chapters on taxes. It was kind of an overall window on, being successful in life. It was a
Sure.
fantastic book. I recommend it. I mean, I don't even know if they print it anymore, but you could probably find it somewhere on Amazon. Yeah, it was a fantastic book.
And
And
that was Money
and
Dynamic.
money dynamics, yes. And that's what really started me, other than my father teaching me the business literally in high school. And when I graduated, I got a 9 to 5 job. I was there for a couple of years. I was 20 years old and I bought my first home to live in. And then a couple of years later, I got married, because you used to get married early back then
Sure.
in those days. I think my children, I don't think none of them got married until they were in their 30s. Um, and that's me and the wife going like, "Hello, we're getting old. We'd like grandchildren." And so
Right.
no, So anyways, got married 2 years later. sold that original house because it was my bachelor pad. She didn't want to live there. So we bought another house. And then right after that, I saw an article in a local paper. Yeah, a newspaper. Okay, back
Yeah.
then.
Still make those?
It was called the Penny Saver. And in the Penny Saver, it said, take over my payment. And I go, what? It's in the real estate section. Take over my payment. So I called. She says, yeah, I'm getting a divorce. I have a condo here locally in San Juan Capistrano. And my husband doesn't want, I don't want it. It's just a burden. If you want to take over the payment, you can. I said, sounds interesting. Let's talk. So we talked and she told me what it was. It had a loan on it. There was not much equity, but it was a very low interest rate loan. And back then, not so much now, but there is ways to do it now. I assumed the mortgage. It's like, okay, the bank didn't really care. It's like the bank, all the bank cared back then and still do now is, am I getting the money every month that you promised to give me? And so I
Right.
purchased that property with no money down. And she literally said, here, it's yours. So we went into escrow, obviously paid some escrow fees and stuff, but I didn't give her any money whatsoever.
What a
None.
nice deal.
And assumed the mortgage. And I believe it or not, I still own that property today, which is another thing I would tell my 20-year-old self. If you're in a time, not now, but if you're in a downturn here in California, please buy everything that you can, as much as you can, and then hold on to it for the rest of your life. You'll never regret it. So
Yeah.
here I have many properties that I've done that with, that over the years, my tenants have paid off the mortgage and now they're mortgage free. And that's part of my income of what I live on.
Pure cash
today.
flow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. It's passive income, which is fantastic. Well, it sounds like things are going well for you and your business. As you're looking towards the future, I'm just wondering if or how you create passive income, which is, I see one of the avenues as the properties that you own. So do you Airbnb those out, I'm assuming, or long-term, short-term rentals?
No, they're all long-term rentals. Yeah, I've had them for many years. They're all long-term rentals. And I never got into the Airbnb business. In fact, I had a property that my dad and I built in Big Bear, which is a local mountains here in Orange County, not Orange County, but San Bernardino. Um, and it got to the point where nobody was using it. And so I ended up selling it, sold it at a really, really low price. And then Airbnb came calling like 6 months after they started Airbnb. And I go, oh God, I could have done that.
Yeah, especially with that
So
property on the lake.
yeah, I kind of missed out on the Airbnb thing, but my son-in-law does have a property up there in Big Bear, and he does Airbnb. But I hear him on the phone all the time. It's not as easy as people think. There's a lot of headaches that go on with it.
There's a lot of fees as well that they collect, and they're primarily for the customer side rather than the owner side a lot of times. So they'll side with their customers before they side with you.
All right.
A lot of times, yeah. So as we're wrapping up our interview, what exciting plans or initiatives do you have in the works for the next 6 to 12 months? What do you got going on?
Anything and everything that makes money in real estate. I mean, that's why I got my license. And people ask, so, why did you get your license? I got it because it just opens up so many doors. Like I said, I do property management as well. During the downturn, I taught myself how to do short sales. I was doing 15 short sales a month back then because nobody knew how to do them. And I taught myself real quick on how to do them, how to deal with the banks and stuff like that. So I'm always waiting for the next shoe to drop. I think with what's going on in the world and the market right now, I think in interest rates by the end of the year, I think you'll see interest rates in the fives, probably the low fives, which will start opening up, more buyers.
Sure.
and sellers as well. So, we're entering into the real busy season for Californian real estate, which is, May, June through September, October. And so I just handle that. And again, I've been doing this for, close to 50 years. So I do have a large base of referral business that comes through. Joe, you sold me the house a few years ago. I'm ready to sell, buy something else, things like that.
Sure. That's fantastic. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
You
They
can go to
needed
my
help with
website.
real estate. Yeah.
My website's probably the easiest, www.joehomes, JOEHOMS.com. And there's pretty much everything there that you need. I mean, you can contact me, email me. I am on Instagram. I do a lot of YouTube stuff as well, a lot of YouTube training for fixing flips. So you can find me on YouTube. Again, YouTube/Joe Holmes, which is the same thing for the Instagram. I'm, not a spring chicken, so I don't use Instagram like young people do. If something's on there, then, hopefully I'll get a notification on my phone and I answer it. But if I don't right away, it's again, I'm not 20 years old and sitting on
Sure.
Instagram the entire time. But yeah, just leave messages, reach out. My direct number is 949-625-4533. You can contact me that way as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us. And guys, if you need to get a hold of Joe or want to join his team of realtors in the California area, or just need to learn about how to flip, he gave you all the details of where to get a hold of him. You can go on his website or on YouTube or Instagram. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.